सुल्तानपुरी ने भी खूब कहा, मैं तो अकेले ही चला था जानिबे मंजिल, मैं तो अकेले ही चला था जानिबे मंजिल, मगर लोग साथ आते गए और कारवां बनता गया। सत श्री अकाल अमृतसर, की हालचाल? सब चंगा? हाउ द जोश? हाउ द जोश? Jen! Ladies and gentlemen, if you think I'm saying a dialogue from a movie, I definitely am not. No, I'm not. This is a common terminology used in the army. When I was serving in the army, we use this terminology on a day-to-day basis. I'm glad it has now picked up momentum and it has now been incorporated in the civil street as well. Well, my fired and left behind on foreign fields. But yet, I'm glad that beards are back in fashion. My father retired from the army as the deputy chief of the army staff. I, as a young major, barely 26 years old, was fortunate enough to lead the Assam Rifles marching contingent exactly 11 years back at Rajpath, saluting the President of India. That's the time I met. Well, I would like to ask you, how many of you believe at love at first sight? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, some more. Okay. I met a very beautiful girl at that time. Fell in love with her. Decided that I want to marry her. This was 11 years back, huh? And I'm newly married. Let me tell you. So, it took me 11 years to actually feel that yes, I am married. I have to confess something to you all. I was out on my honeymoon right now. I'd gone to Jaipur for the Jaipur Lit Fest and I was there for my honeymoon. I had to really apologize and take permission from my wife. I told her that there's a TED talk and TEDx talk and I cannot afford to miss it. That too at such a prestigious school like this. So she gracefully agreed. She told me, you are going, we are newly married, see, you are going for your honeymoon. And I didn't tell you when I got married. I met her 11 years back. Well, I didn't even meet her then. We were childhood friends. We met after 20 years as playing as toddlers. In 2007 and 2008, we got engaged on 27th January, this particular day, 2008. We got engaged then. And I say I'm newly married because we've been married for just 11 years. Okay. So, it's all a frame of mind. There's no demarcation to it that you're newly married for 1 week, 7 days, 6 months, 1 year, 10 years, 11 years, 20 years, 25 years. There's no demarcation to that. And a honeymoon need not be for 6 years or 6 months or 6 days in Switzerland, 6 days in Bangkok, 4 days in Kashmir. No, we've had an elongated honeymoon for 11 years. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me show you when I led the parade and when I managed to impress my wife and how I wooed her. Let's have the video of me leading the content.
The unique feature of the BSF Houston Units. We have the Assam Rifles marching contingent led by Major Mohammed Ali Shah. Flight salute to President Major Mohammed Ali Shah. Sentinels of the Northeast. They have won 3 Ashok Chakras along with numerous other locals.
So that's how I impressed her, and the very next day we got engaged, and within a few days we got married. And we've been newly married since then. What my wife told me, she's much smarter than me, she's very beautiful, much more better looking than me, more capable than me, more qualified than me. She was doing an MPhil then, and now she's doing a PhD. She's also a baker, very talented. She told me, why is it that a male officer has to command the parade? Why cannot we have a lady officer leading the contingent right in front? I replied to her. I had a befitting reply. You know what I replied? Why should we have a lady officer commanding the parade? Why cannot we have the entire contingent of ladies marching along with that lady officer? So they say the mind can achieve what it can conceive. I had this vision, I recommended this to my superiors, but I was way too junior an officer. Why would anyone listen to my recommendation? It was played down and it lied low. I finished my short service stint in the army, joined the corporate sector, went to and do my management from IIM Calcutta. Anyhow, after that, 11 years later, on 1st January, I read in the news that the first time in the history of India we have a female leading the parade with a female contingent. Let's have the video, please.
It's a matter of pride and privilege for me to be the first contingent commander of an all-women contingent of Assam Rifles. That I'm an AC officer. I was commissioned into Army Service Corps in 2012 and presently I'm on deputation with Assam Rifles. I would like to give them a message that I would like to give them example of mine that I'm a daughter of a bus conductor. I've been studying on scholarship throughout my school. I've studied from a government college. I've did my MBA from a government college. If I can lead a contingent of the majestic Rajpath, then each one of you, with your hard work, with your confidence and your willpower, you can make your dreams come.
So I'm glad at least they say what you wish for yourself comes true. What you wish for others also can come true. And this is what I wished then. And I'm so glad you can see the uniform. We are from the same regiment. That's the Assam Rifles contingent. Let me tell you about myself. I grew up in a boarding school where my father was in the army, and that was the best way to settle down an army brat. I did my first play when I was 5 years old. I went on stage. I loved the feeling of being on stage. That's when I decided instantly, when I grow up, I want to be an actor on stage. I want to do theater. So well, one more thing I didn't tell you. I suffered my first heartbreak very early in school. I was in prep school. I was in class 5th at that time. And let me tell you how I suffered this heartbreak. When I was just born, my parents had registered me because my parents feel that education is the best thing that you can gift to a child. So they registered me for the school called the Doon School in Dehradun. And they had this vision and this dream that I'll go and study there. Well, I prepared very well. My mother burned the midnight oil with me. And the day came of the entrance exam. I went for the entrance test. I did exceedingly well in the entrance test. I attempted all the marks and I was sure I'll get full 100 on 100. I finished the exam in half the time, walked out early, only to realize that I've skipped answering one entire page which I didn't see earlier. So which means I've attempted only 50 marks. And then definitely it's obvious what the result would have been. Thereafter in class 7th, I barely managed to scrape through to come to class 8th. But a very big thing happened in class 9th. What happened? I topped my batch. But from behind, huh? In class 10th, I had to sit for a compartment exam, a re-exam for maths. Dreadful. Oof. How many of us are scared of maths over here, of numbers? Ask me about it. After my 12th, I was in a boarding school in Ooty, Lawrence School, Lovedale. We were getting an outing to go to Bangalore to appear for the NDA, the National Defence Academy. So I went to Bangalore to appear for the NDA. Well, not to appear for the NDA, but to have an outing from a boarding school to Bangalore. And I obviously didn't sit for the entrance test, and obviously what the result would have been, you can imagine, right? I went to Pune thereafter for my graduation. Why? Because FTI, Film and Television Institute of India, was in Pune. And the hero of my life, the role model, my father, is an alumni of NDA, Khadakwasla, National Defence Academy, Pune. I always dreamt of becoming like my father one day. I wish I was half as capable and as charismatic as him. But anyhow, and his younger brother is an illustrious actor. He incidentally was one of the best friends of Om Puri Sahab, Mr. Nasiruddin Shah. He is from FTI. So I thought I'll see both the institutions from close. And that's when I decided, man, I like both the worlds. Let me have best of both the worlds. That you cannot have your cake and eat it too. Why cannot you not have your cake and eat it too? You can do what you want. The human mind is capable of anything and everything. There is a painting, a photo I saw of a horse tied to a log. The log is just lying loose, but the horse is tied to it. So the horse feels it is tied to that log. It cannot move. But if the horse wants, he can definitely run, gallop, move away from that log, right? But the horse feels it's got a mental block. So I broke all barriers. I decided to sit for the NSD, the National School of Drama, after my graduation. I sat for the NSD. I cleared all the rounds. But the final round, I did not get selected. Anyhow, disappointment. I was down in the dumps. I decided to try for NSD again the next year. But in the interim time, I joined a call center where I would work at nights, rehearse for my plays, I had a choice whether I would sleep in the daytime or do theater. I chose the other one. I chose to work and do theater. And I happened to fluke it to be Mr. Pune in 1999. I don't know how that happened, but sometimes they say, Jab Khuda Meherban, tab Gadha Pelwan, right? So I think that's what happened. I fluked it, that's why I say I fluked it. Anyway, so I worked with this call center for a year where they paid me and trained me in speech therapy, voice and accent, voice modulation. They taught me the difference between an American accent and a British accent, which would help as an actor as well. I tried for the NSD again the next year after waiting on for a year. What happened this time? Good news, sorry? Good news, I did not get selected. Why I say good news is because they say whatever happens, happens for the best. And it proved later on that it happened for the best. I'll explain to you how. Someone advised me that maybe you are not good looking enough to be an actor. So you try to be a film director, try to become a filmmaker. So I said, I'm not interested in filmmaking. But anyway, I sat for the exam and I said, mind you, you don't have to be good looking to be an actor. You got to have talent. And I feel I have that. So anyhow, I sat for the Jamia Millia Islamia Mass Comm filmmaking course. What happens? I didn't get through. It sounds funny, I know, but really so. I'll explain that later on. But that time, my morale was down in my boots. I was broken, I was shattered. I did not know. For me, the world had come to an end. Honestly, it had. I didn't have a plan B, as you said. This is all what I dreamt of growing up in my entire life. Thereafter, a wise man advised me, son, you want to be an actor, right? Yes. Okay. Why don't you manufacture a product which no actor would be having? Now, what's that? You have a martial tradition in the family? Yes. Why don't you keep the martial tradition alive? Join the army for 5 years, train as a para-commando, and then come to Bombay after 5 years. जब तुम बॉम्बे आओगे, तुम जैसा कोई एक्टर नहीं होगा जो हकीकत में फौज में रह के आया हो, who has been inculcated the sense of discipline, who has been paid and trained in commando training, martial arts, horse riding and polo, deep water diving, mountain climbing, rock climbing, hang gliding, adventure sports, water sports, parasailing, parajumping, paratrooping, you name it. You would be an officer and a gentleman. And this made a lot of sense to me. So I was commissioned in the Regiment of Artillery, my father's regiment. I served in J&K for 2 years and then Manipur and Nagaland for 3 years. That's the time I led that parade. Thereafter, God was kind. A guy who did not get through NSD and FTI, who had been a bad student, gets through a premier B school of the country. I am Calcutta. I was one of the toppers from my batch there. Got a plum job on campus, which I didn't want to do. But my professor said, interview ke liye baith jao. No one is joining you, making you join on a gunpoint, right? Take the offer letter and don't join. So I sat for the interview and I asked a very unrealistic salary from them. They looked at each other, took out a document, made me sign it. And I came out and I realized that I've got the job. So my professor asked me, what happened? I said, I cracked the interview. Show me offer letter. I showed them my offer letter. And I was very happy. I've got a 6-figure salary to start with. And they looked at it and said, what, you didn't negotiate your salary with them or what? They said, sir, look at this. I mean, I've got a killer salary. What more can I expect? I said, no. You remember one thing, don't underestimate yourself. You are an ex-army guy and an IIM graduate. You deserved 4 times this amount. Anyhow, so where I thought I've got a killer, I thought I'll work with them for a year, leave my job, save money, come to Bombay. That 1 year led to 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and every year I kept getting a promotion, not because anything great that I did or I contributed to the company, but I had an outstanding team behind me to support me. And that team did all the job, and I kept getting the credit for that thereafter. I told my team, anything good that is done together, you have done it. Anything wrong goes wrong, I, as the team leader, will take responsibility that it's gone wrong because of me. These are few management lessons I learned on ground serving in the Indian Army. Thereafter, I realized I was just falling into the corporate trap. I got a job offer from another company, another multinational. I worked with Genpact, Rolta Thales Limited, and thereafter Mahindra and Mahindra. I realized enough is enough. When I have jumped the 9-feet ditch, why should I feel scared of jumping the 5-feet ditch? I've left the army, let me leave the corporate sector as well now. I had a wife, I had a son, and I decided to quit my job. And I moved to Bombay with an uncertain fear of the darkness, fear of the unknown. But I didn't feel scared. William Shakespeare once said, "Cowards die many times before the death. The valiant never face death, but once." So I decided, let's catch the bull by its horns and let's see what happens. I arrive into Bombay. Two good things that happen, a sign by God. First, I couldn't afford to take my car there from Delhi, so I was dependent on the local trains in Mumbai. A new local rail network from Churchgate to Dhanu was introduced that very day, which covered a station called Boisar. And I had saved enough money to buy a small little apartment, loan-free apartment, at Boisar for myself, so that I'm not dependent on friends or family when I go to Mumbai. Second, I get to know that Mr. Vishal Bhardwaj was making a film in Kashmir, Hamlet in Kashmir. I walk up to his office, seek an interview. I signed my first film with a big banner within 1 hour of reaching Mumbai, and I acted in Heather. Let's see Heather's clipping.
सरेंडर कर दो। तुम्हें भारतीय कानून के तहत अपने आप को बचाने का पूरा मौका दिया जाएगा। हथियार अंदर छोड़ के बाहर आ जाओ। You don't have a chance. मारे जाओगे।
अंदर सिर्फ अखलाक लतीफ जिंदा है, बाकी 2 मिलिटेंट मारे गए। रेनफोर्समेंट भेज दे।
No bloody militant, dead or alive, is worth my soldier's life.
Thereafter, after Heather, came a very troubled time because I am a very, very energetic guy. I'm a workaholic. Today is a Sunday. And let me tell you all, I detest Sundays. I hate Sundays. I hate sitting at home. You always accuse me out of the house. You're always busy working. You're always doing something on the other, always on the move. I love to work. For me, sleeping is a big waste of time. I cannot. When I joined the army, I was told, welcome to the Officers Training Academy. You will get only 3 to 4 hours, maximum 4 hours of recreation per day. And these 4 hours would be the time when you would sleep at nights. So that would be your recreation. So I was trained that way. So for me, there's no charm in sleeping and wasting time. I feel I've lagged behind if I go to sleep. Even in the aircraft when I was coming here, I didn't sleep. Anyhow, so a troubled time came after Heather because I did Heather, a big banner film. Aate hi bhai, achhi break mil gayi mere ko. And I love stage. So I decided to do a play of my own. Instead of coming under the shadows of my illustrious uncle, Nasir Saab, I said, let me conceptualize a monologue of my own. I prepared it for 3.5 hours. It's a solo performance of mine. After preparing it, I started publicity, marketing, promotion of this play, single-handedly, solo, on my own shoulders. I अखबारों में मैंने इश्तिहार लगवाए, थिएटर बुक किया, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, BBM, emails, SMS, phone calls to friends, personally meeting friends. If I meet somebody at the airport, looks interesting, I would invite them. मेरा play होने वाला है इस जगह पे, आप please मेरे play के लिए आएगा. Randomly. Took out posters on a rainy day. I went all the way to NCP, to town, to Prithvi, to Sophia's, St. Andrews, the leading coffee shops in Mumbai. Got the posters placed there with my own hands. Now came the day of the opening of the play. Well, I opened the play with a lot of style, I must say, and I got, अब जाहिर सी बात इतनी publicity की थी भाई हमने, तो overwhelming response आएगा कि नहीं आएगा? So I got a thunderous response with an overwhelming crowd of, in a 550-seater auditorium, I got a thunderous response of 7 people in the audience. Out of which 4 were my school friends from my boarding school, Lawrence School, Lovedale, who said, Ali bhai, हम बस आपको support करने आए हैं. Because we know your passion right from school days, we know it's going to be good. So we've come here, but we have a prayer commitment. Please don't mind. We have to go in 15 minutes time. Not because the play is going to be bad, but because it's going to be nice, but we've got to go. I said, okay, fine. But the very fact हम यहीं तक आए हैं, that itself means a lot. I started performing. 15 minutes went past. 20 minutes went past. Half an hour went past. I was expecting them to leave now, but they were still sitting there. 2 hours went past, 3 hours went past, 3.5 hours went by. And all 7 of them were sitting to their seats intact, without blinking an eyelid. They came backstage. They came backstage and told me, we have never seen anything like this ever in our lives. It's in English, Hindi, Urdu. वो दिन और आज का दिन, खैर मैंने तो 10 महीने में वो सफर तय कर लिया था. My next show was to happen at Prithvi Theatre after 10 days, and this show I decided I am not going to advertise or publicize or talk about my play, because जहाँ पे इतनी बेइज्जती हुई मेरी वहाँ पे 7 लोग आए, लोगों ने बोला भाई तुम्हारा play flop क्यों हो गया? मैं कहा flop नहीं हुआ भाई. It's a super hit. It's not a film. You cannot compare the medium. But the response I got was a standing ovation. They got up after I performed. That was my success. 10 days later, I was performing at Prithvi, and I was very scared. My dear friend here, I told Nanda Puri that I'm very scared, no one's going to come for my play. He said, don't worry, you'll get a house full. कहते हैं ना कई बार मुंह से बोली हुई बात सच हो जाती है. And that's exactly what happened. I get a house full. Not only a house full, 4 times the amount of crowd was outside for a ticketed show. And ये वही play है जिसके लिए लोग आने को तैयार नहीं थे complimentary पे. You're on a complimentary seat. No. वो दिन और आज का दिन, I have performed this play across the length and breadth of the country. I have taken it to Hyderabad, Calcutta, Delhi, the leading theatres in Mumbai. Where not? I have taken this play abroad on my own shoulders. I still remember I was performing in Kuwait, and this Arab gentleman comes backstage and tells me, I did not understand what you were doing because I don't speak Urdu or Hindi. It's in English, Hindi and Urdu, mind you. I don't speak English or Hindi or Urdu. But by the way you were doing it, I could say something very nice. That was a compliment for me. I did a show within 10 months of that, 7 people in the audience for the day and 10 months, and 1 ticket of my play sold for, let's have the ticket. That's the VIP passes sold for $500. It was done on, the date is mentioned here, 15 September 2017, 9 p.m. onwards. So this is not even 10 months, 9 months actually. And that's the journey I traveled because I believed in myself. It's all in the mind. If you feel you can do it, you can. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster men. But sooner or later, the person who wins is the one who thinks he can. Ladies and gentlemen, I took a risk. You all are risk takers over here. How many of you are fond of taking risks? Let me ask you that. Very good. Very good. How many of you avoid taking risks? Okay. You are the biggest risk takers. Let me tell you why. Because the greatest risk in life is not having taken any risk at all. That's the biggest risk. So ladies and gentlemen, I took this risk and I was prepared to come to the edge. The fear was there, no, I would fall. Come to the edge, no, I would fall. I came to the edge and I flew. Someone spoke about fear over here earlier. Let me tell you, the bravest of the bravest, they experience fear. There is no human being who is not scared. If you are not brave, pretend to be brave. At least no one can make out the difference. Tomorrow if I'm leading my men into battle and if I feel scared, my men behind me will say, Saab mein dam nahi hai, saab ki phat gayi. Right? So I have to show my men that yes, we can and we will. As Barack Obama said, yes we can. Am I right? Yes. But before I end, there's one thing I want to leave a message for you all. When I was posted in Nagaland in Kohima, there were a few wonderful words I read at a tombstone at the World War II War Cemetery in Kohima, which read, let's have the last slide, when you go home. And you know what that slide read, or what that tombstone read? It read, when you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow, we gave our today. Jai Hind!